Welcome into Locked On Phillies. Today we have the top 10 moments of the first half of the Philadelphia Phillies season. What are the top 10 best moments? Well, we'll break it down next on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. It has been an absolute blast being with you for half of a season now, and it hasn't all been good, but there have been some great moments, some huge moments, some impactful moments, some improbable moments. I mean, I'm going to run out of descriptors. I'm going to run out of adjectives. I'm going to run out of superlatives. I don't have enough words to describe this Philadelphia Phillies first half. It's been just a absolutely incredible stretch of games. And the Philadelphia Phillies have 70 remaining, 92 games off the board, 70 left to go to get to 162. And it's going to be an interesting finish. The Phils currently in the third wildcard spot in the National League. The division not totally out of reach, even though the Braves and the Mets will be tough to catch. But there's so much going to happen down the stretch. Before we get to that, though, before we jump into previewing the stretch, which I'll do in the next couple episodes as we finish out the All-Star break in the action, we've got to see where we came from. So without further ado, let's jump into the entirety of what today's episode is going to be about, the top 10 moments of the Philadelphia Phillies first half. Now, this is everything. Some of it's on the field. There's an off-the-field one. We have a couple top 10 moments from the same game. Can you believe that? 2 top 10 moments in one game. They've played all these games already, and there's one game had 2 of the top 10. Yeah, I know. Well, it's just been that type of first half for the Philadelphia Phillies. In these moments, it was very hard for me to rank them. It wasn't hard to find the top 10. Really, that didn't take me too long, but figuring out what order to put them in was fun. It was challenging, and hopefully you agree. But if you don't disagree, you can leave a comment on YouTube. You can tweet me at ConnorThomas975 on Twitter. You can also go ahead and send a tweet to at LO_Phillies. So Locked On Phillies is the main Locked On Phillies account, and we can get everything all squared away there too. If you disagree with me, we can have them back and forth. Love tweeting at people, responding to what people have to say about the things that I say on here. I always appreciate the feedback, criticism, all of that. So let's start with number 10. The number 10 moment of the Philadelphia Phillies first half. And this is, it didn't seem like a positive moment at all at the time. This actually seemed like it could have been the beginning of the end for one of the more promising young players in this Philadelphia Phillies organization over the past couple of years. It happened early in the season, April 11th, just getting going, and it involves, yes, one third baseman that we now know and love, Alec Bowm. Now, Alec Bowm had been a Rookie of the Year candidate in the National League in 2020, and then 2021 saw a drop-off for him. He was terrible defensively. The defensive issues seemed to carry over to the plate. He had a rough offensive stretch, and then he ended up getting sent down in 2021. So 2022, there were huge expectations on him to prove that he deserves to play third base at the major league level. And while he did well in the Oakland Athletics series to start off the year, with Bryce Harper breathing down his neck as a potential replacement at third base, Johan Camargo now with the squad, Bowm needed to be good. And against the Mets, he wasn't. He made multiple errors in the first inning of that game. Just could not field the ball, could not throw the ball, could not figure out what to do with it ever. It may have been the worst defensive performance I've ever seen at the major league level. And to make things worse, well, Alec Bowm was now famously caught on camera during the NBC Sports Philadelphia broadcast, mouthing, "I bleeping hate this place." Not a great look to say that you hate the place where you're playing. The fans, everyone who saw it, all reacted, went crazy, got on Alec Bowm like only Philadelphia fans could do, and absolutely tore the kid to shreds once they saw it. Oh, if you don't like this place, get out. Oh, this is the beginning of the end. Oh, what a terrible attitude. All of these things were said. And listen, I felt the same way. And then what does Alec Bowm do? Well, he comes out post-game and he owns up to it. He says, yeah, I did say it. I shouldn't have. I don't hate this place. It was just, obviously, I was frustrated. And the next night, he gets a standing ovation by the Philadelphia Phillies faithful. And what has he done? Well, he's just gone on to be one of the more clutch hitters on this team this year, been solid offensively, gotten significantly better defensively since those early struggles, and he's really, really turned around this season. So it didn't seem like a good moment at the time, but it was. It's going to be one of those moments you look back on when the season's done and be like, wow, did that really happen? Did we really catch a player saying that he hates this place on live TV, comes out, owns it, gets a standing ovation from one of the toughest fan bases in sports, and has a turnaround year? A redemption story so far this year for Alec Bowm, and you just absolutely love to see it. Our number 10 moment, Alec Bowm saying he bleeping hates this place versus the Mets on April 11th. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9, we get to our first walk-off of the list. And guess what? It's Alec Bowm. There was a series against the Dodgers in May. This game was actually on May 22nd, though, and the score was 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th inning. It was a 2-2 count on Alec Bowm. There were 2 outs. There was runners on second and third. The runner on third, the tying run. The runner on second, Roman Quinn, who represented the winning run. And Alec Bowm, with 2 outs, well, it looks like he ends the game. He rolls over on a ground ball to second baseman Max Muncy. And he did end the game, but not in the way we all thought. Max Muncy boots it. It goes between his legs. He kind of has a chance to grab it behind him, but he hesitates, not sure where to go with the ball. Alec Bowm beats it out to first. But not only does Alec Bowm beat it out to first, Roman Quinn comes flying around third base. The game already tied. Roman Quinn, incredible speed. Max Muncy tries to throw him out from second base, deep second base, picking up the ball, and Roman Quinn dives in safe. The Philadelphia Phillies walk it off. They end up winning the game 4-3. Heartbreaking for Max Muncy and the Dodgers, but elation for the Philadelphia Phillies. And Alec Bowm with a little bit of luck. But hey, sometimes when things start the season not breaking your way, like we talked about in moment number 10, it turns around and baseball gives it right back to you in the positive direction. That number 9 play being the walk-off versus the Dodgers on the Max Muncy error at second base on May 22nd, off the bat of Alec Bowm. So that was the full circle there in the first 2 moments. We're just getting started. Let's sneak in number 8 here real quick. Our number 8 moment, we're going to the mound for the first time. It's actually a pretty recent one. The most recent stretch against the St. Louis Cardinals, where the Philadelphia Phillies played them in 2 of 3 series in a row. They played them in Philadelphia, then they had another series, then they went out to St. Louis to play them there. And Zach Wheeler absolutely dominated the Cardinals in back-to-back starts. The first one on July 3rd, the second one on July 8th. And the July 3rd start at home in Philadelphia, Zach Wheeler goes 7 innings, only allows 4 hits, and no runs in that one. Not a huge strikeout performance, only 5 Ks in that one, but the Phillies win 4-0, end up shutting out the Cardinals, getting a huge win, and what could prove to be a gigantic win in the National League wild card race. The Cardinals, I'm sure, tired of seeing Zach Wheeler, but guess what? They get to see him again just 5 days later. July 8th, Wheeler takes the mound again and has almost an identical outing. He goes 7 more innings, shut out all of them. 5 hits allowed, so 1 more hit allowed, 5 strikeouts again, and the Phillies win 2-0 on 2 solo shots off the bat of Alec Bowm. Some good work by him out there in St. Louis, close to where he played college ball at Wichita State. But you look at it, and Zach Wheeler was the real star of those couple series against the Cardinals. Could you imagine seeing a pitcher for 14 innings and only mustering 9 hits and no runs? It was not great for the Cardinals. It was awesome for the Phillies, and it could prove huge when we see what ends up happening with the NL wild card race. Those are moments 10, 9, and recently 8. Zach Wheeler dominating the Cardinals in back-to-back starts. We'll jump into moment 7 when we come back on Locked On Phillies. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you about our friends over at Blue Nile. You might be ready to pop the question, You might just have something special coming up that you want to get fine jewelry for. Whatever the case, you got to go to BlueNile.com. They've got simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, the size, the setting, the clarity, the style, anything that you want to customize, you can do it through Blue Nile's online customization tools. And their bench jewelers will style them, handcraft them perfectly to your specifications. So your special someone gets her perfect ring. Now, each ring is one of a kind because of this, and she's going to love it. Who doesn't love one of a kind special stuff? Also, if you're looking for regular jewelry, it doesn't have to be engagement stuff. Maybe you want a necklace, earrings, a ring, a bracelet, something like that to give to that special someone in your life. Well, Blue Nile has on-hand experts to help you out. They're available via chat or over the phone. They can talk to you about what to buy. They can talk to you about the pricing to buy it at. And they've got stuff for every budget. And they help you out to make sure you have the best shopping experience possible. I mean, there's beautiful stuff over there. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. Listen to these deals. You can save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging, so she won't know what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. All right, we're going to get back into the top 10 list in just a second. First, though, I want to tell you, well, if you're wondering which NFL stars are going to move the betting line the most in this upcoming season of football, well, starting July 18th, Locked On gives you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. Now, last time I checked, I think it's July 20th, so that means it's going on. Check in on the top 50 players. They're available on Locked On NFL, wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. So make sure you take a look at that, see where the birds rank, see where the other players, maybe you got some fantasy football implications. Check out all that good stuff they're doing over Locked On NFL. All right, so we went through our top, well, we had 10, 9, and 8 on our top 10 list. 10 was Alec Bowm saying he hates this place. 9 was the walk-off versus the Dodgers on Max Muncy's error. 8 was a Zach Wheeler dominant back-to-back starts against the St. Louis Cardinals. Our number 7 moment is perhaps the guy you could call the MVP of this team at this point in the season. It's Kyle Schwarber and his hottest stretch in what was an incredibly blistering stretch in June and then also into July. And these came on July 5th and July 6th in back-to-back games. It's Kyle Schwarber absolutely demolishing the Nationals in a series at Citizens Bank Park with back-to-back multi-home run games. Now, you had the 4th of July break. The Phillies don't play on 4th of July this year, so they had a little bit of time off and some traveling and everything like that. And Kyle Schwarber had been incredible in June. But hey, the calendar had flipped. It was now early July. And would Schwarber be able to keep up his hot streak? I combined streak and stretch there. Hot streak? Or would the magic of June finally wear off? Well, we weren't wondering much about that in the series with the Nationals. July 5th, Kyle Schwarber hits 2 home runs, much to the chagrin of the Washington Nationals. A team that had Kyle Schwarber last year no longer has him and is now getting smoked by him. And it was incredible to see a multi-home run game there at Citizens Bank Park to help the Phillies win that game. Then, July 6th, well, Kyle Schwarber comes out, and he does it again. 2 more home runs. Back-to-back multi-home run games they never happen. Like, they do, but it's so rare to see that occur. We don't see it happen very often in a Phillies uniform, despite playing in a small ballpark. And Kyle Schwarber goes ahead and takes care of it against the Nationals. The National social media was incredible. Twitter was ablaze. I was blowing up with memes and everything like that. It was an awesome stretch by Kyle Schwarber, and his 29 home runs still lead the National League now that we're at the All-Star break. A great stretch by him, and that's our 7th best moment of the year. For the 6th, we're heading back to the mound. And we're talking about Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola had a lot of great starts this year in what's been a bounce-back year so far for him. He's returned to what looked like his 2018 form when he was the NL Cy Young runner-up. And perhaps his best start is his most recent one. Our 6th moment is Aaron Nola's final game of the first half, completely shoving against the Miami Marlins just recently on July 17th. Nola went 8 1/3 innings pitched. He had a chance to go for the complete game shutout and just couldn't quite get there. The door gets closed, though, takes care of business. I believe it was Jose Alvarado who closes that out. He only allowed 4 hits against the Fish down in Miami. It's a shutout game, and he struck out 10 as the Philadelphia Phillies shut out the Marlins 4-0 in the final game of the first half. That's why Mr. Broom's back there on YouTube. You can see him because the Phillies swept the Marlins, and Aaron Nola helps the Phillies secure the sweep for the first time since 2010 of the Marlins in Miami. What a moment. What a pitching performance. What an exclamation mark to end the first half. And it was great work by Aaron Nola to put the Phillies in position to do that. Moving on to our number 4 moment now. And this one happened in early June. It was June 7th. It was a warm night here in Philadelphia, some light rain, but the game was being played in Milwaukee. And this game was going late. The situation was the Phillies were down 2-1 in the 9th inning. They were facing, of course, it's Milwaukee. They're losing. It's a 1-run game. There's only 3 outs to work with, and Josh Hader is on the mound. Now, Hader to this point in the season had been absolutely unhittable. He was unbelievable. He had a long streak of not giving up a run. It was like the chances of the Phillies scoring a run were minimal, minuscule, basically 0. Any way you want to cut it, it was unlikely that the Phillies would score a run. Down 2-1, and you're basically resigned to praying that a miracle would happen. And then a miracle did happen. Without an out in the inning, the first batter is Alec Bowm, and he takes Josh Hader yard to left field, an absolute bomb. Could you believe it? Alec Bowm, who we talked about in the 10th and 9th moments being one of the more maligned players earlier in the season when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies, plays hero and at least extends the game, ties the game up at 2. And you're like, okay, well, maybe you could push it to extra innings, and now the Philadelphia Phillies have a shot. What are the chances? The next batter gets out, and then with 1 out, Matt Vierling steps to the plate. Matt Vierling was real unlucky to start the Philadelphia Phillies season. He had gone like 0 for the first 2 weeks, basically, of the season. Couldn't buy a hit, couldn't figure it out, gets sent down, comes back up, has this nice Car Shield commercial that people are making fun of him for, because in the Car Shield commercial, he talks about knowing a thing or two about big hits. Well, he proved his worth in this one. Can you believe it? Matt Vierling also goes yard off Josh Hader, making it a 3-2 game. Going yard off of Hader twice in the same inning is incredible. You would have had a better chance of putting me on the moon. But the Philadelphia Phillies did it. They close the door in the bottom of the 9th. They win a game 3-2. They win the season series against the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was just an incredible comeback against all odds. One of the more unlikely comebacks in Major League Baseball that you're going to see all year, considering the pitcher, the situation, everything like that. Now, they did it with no outs, though, which you're going to see is a trend that we're going to break as we go through the rest of this list. But let's just recap where we're at to this point, because we ran through a couple there. Number 7 moment was Kyle Schwarber, back-to-back multi-home run games against the Nationals. Number 6, Aaron Nola's final game, first half dominance versus the Marlins. Oh my goodness, and I apologize, I skipped one. Number 4 moment was the back-to-back home runs by Josh Hader. Our number 5 moment, wow, this is all jumbled up now, bear with me. So the number 6 moment, and this is why you review your work. Number 6 moment was the back-to-back, or the Aaron Nola shutout game against the Marlins to finish the first half. And I said the number 4 moment was the back-to-back home runs, or rather the 2 home runs and 3 at-bats by Alec Bowm and Matt Vierling off of Josh Hader. But before we get to that, there was one more moment sandwiched in there. It was a 2-2 count. It was 2 outs. The day was June 15th, and the Miami Marlins were in Philadelphia. Sandy Alcantara had been absolutely dominant, but the Marlins had finally gone to the bullpen. And the game was only 1-0. There were 2 runners on. And just like that, Garrett Stubbs steps to the plate. The backup catcher, who you kind of always love the backup, right? Until they do something wrong, they're the kind of darling, the fun person to root for. And you never believe they're actually going to do it, but it would be amazing if they did. Well, He gets a fastball up, and he absolutely tanks it. A nuke to right field, a walk-off with a 2-2 count, and the Phillies down to their final strike. A 3-run walk-off home run and one of the best celebrations of the year for the Phillies. Stubbs takes his helmet off, screams at the dugout, and then when he comes around third, spikes his helmet as hard as I've ever seen someone spike it, winning a game against the Miami Marlins, a 3-run homer to put the Phillies up 3-1. That was our number 5 moment. So we have Kyle Schwarber with the multi-home run games against the Nationals at 7. Aaron Nola's dominant final start of the first half at 6. Garrett Stubbs' walk-off versus the Marlins at 5. And the back-to-back were the 2 home runs and 3 at-bats. I keep calling them back-to-back because they felt so close together. Off of Josh Hader in Milwaukee by Alec Bowm and Matt Vierling. Got to tell you about one more sponsor here, and then we have our top 3 moments as we wrap up today's Locked On Phillies. First, let me tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. You can find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. You can find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, the NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, golf, everything. If it's a sport, you can find it at BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They've got you covered. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, they're where the game starts. All right, are you ready for our final 3 moments? It's time for the final 3 moments of the Philadelphia Phillies first half, starting with number 3. But first, let's recap our list one more time. At 10, it's Alec Bowm saying he hates this place. At 9, it's Alec Bohm's walk-off, or rather the walk-off error by Max Muncy versus the Dodgers. At 8, it's Zach Wheeler's dominant starts in his back-to-back starts against the Cardinals, 2 shutout performances by him. Kyle Schwarber checks in at number 7 with back-to-back multi-home run games. Aaron Nola's final start of the first half is at 6. Garrett Stubbs' 3-run walk-off on the final strike versus the Marlins is at 5. At 4, 2 homers and 3 batters against Josh Hader by Alec Bowm and Matt Vierling to put the Phillies up 3-2 and win the game against the Brewers. And now, time for number 3. It's incredible it took this long for him to check in. Bryce Harper makes the list, and you know what the moment has to be. Now, I couldn't make it higher, even though it kind of feels more magical than what happened later in this game, and we're going to hear from this game again. But Bryce Harper's game-tying grand slam versus the Los Angeles Angels on June 5th is our third best moment of the first half. So the Phils were down 6-2 in the bottom of the 8th. It was a 3-2 count. There were 2 outs, and the bases were loaded. The Phillies had the guy they wanted at the plate, but man, he had 2 strikes on him. It's 3-2. Maybe he could walk. There's nowhere to put him, though, so we kind of knew he was getting a pitch, and get a pitch he did. Bryce Harper, it was a moment similar to what he did against the Chicago Cubs in the best swing of his career in Philadelphia when he hit the walk-off grand slam against the Cubs back in his first season. But this one was only to tie the game in the 8th. Nonetheless, he hammers one to right field, an absolute no-doubter. A game-tying grand slam, and the Philadelphia Phillies needed every single run. It tied the game at 6. It brought the Phillies back from the brink. It put them in position to potentially walk it off in the 9th. And, well, in our number 2 moment, we find out exactly what they did. But the number 3 moment, Bryce Harper's game-tying grand slam versus the Angels. Number 2, of course, has to be Bryson Stott's walk-off versus the Angels on June 5th, that same game. The Phils gave up a run in the top of the 9th, and then Bryson Stott hit a walk-off 3-run homer. It was a 3-2 count. There were 2 outs. Runners were on first and second. It wasn't like they were set up to go ahead and win this game, and Bryson Stott was down to his final strike, and he tanks one to right field. The Vegas connection, as Tom McCarthy called it on the TV broadcast, wins that one. And the Bryson Stott walk-off, that combination of events has to be 3-2 on the season. But there's one more that takes the cake over all of these, and it didn't happen on the field. Our number 1 moment is the firing of Joe Gerard. Now, I don't mean to pile on Joe Gerard, but he wasn't good this year, and the turnaround that the Philadelphia Phillies made since he was fired has saved the season. You could say all those moments are great, but the true change that has saved the season is the hiring of Rob Thompson as interim manager, the firing of Joe Girardi as former manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. The team's been incredible since. Rob Thompson has handled the bullpen so much better. They've become one of the best units in baseball. He's letting the young guys play. He's winning games. He's managing deftly. He's being incredibly smart with the different transactions and the way he handles the game. And listen, the clubhouse feels different. This team looks different. They found ways to win. They've gone on a stretch. They're now in playoff position. And that's why the firing of Joe Girardi that allowed this to happen must be the number one moment, because it will be the turnaround moment of the season when we look back at it. All the other moments, incredible and deserve their props, and I'm glad we got a chance to give it to them. But number one, the manager creates the culture. It starts from the top down, and the Philadelphia Phillies got it absolutely right when they moved on from Joe Girardi and changed things around. Now, will it play in the second half, and will Rob Thompson continue to be great, and will this team end up a playoff team? Well, only time will tell. But what they've done to this point, that's got to be our number one moment. So there it is. Hope you enjoyed our top 10 list. I'll go ahead and I'll tweet that out at one point, and once we get this episode all squared away for you. But that's all for today's Locked On Phillies. Now tomorrow, we turn our eyes to the second half, and we talk about a preview of a series with the Chicago Cubs. We talk about the schedule coming up, all that good stuff as we look forward to what's coming the rest of the way. But thank you for taking a trip down memory lane with me. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Lindsey Crosby has all the best prospect information on young players that could be traded, new draftees, everything you need to know about farm systems across baseball. So check out Locked On MLB Prospects. It's free wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow on the next Locked On Phillies.